Welcome to Price This House. I'm Dave O'Neil with Century 21 Spindler & O'Neil.
And I'm Kimberly O'Neil Mara with Century 21 Spindler & O'Neil, and welcome.
It's been a long, cold winter, but we're here to get you caught up on what's going on in the real estate market and get you ready for the spring market. We're going to start with the first quarter, and we'll compare 2015 to 2014. For North Reading, we had 25 units in the first quarter versus 22 a year ago, which actually means that there's 14% increase in units sold. The average list price for the first quarter 2015 is $450,000 versus a year ago was $505,000. Basically down 11% in list price. Average sales price was $437 this quarter versus $501 a year ago, which is down 13% in the average sales price. The number of days on the market rose to 72 days versus 66 a year ago, which is a 9% increase on days on the market. For North Reading condominiums in the first quarter, we had 5 that sold versus 4 a year ago, which is an increase of 25%. The average list price is $200,000 versus $235,000 a year ago, which is down 15%. And the average sale price is $196,000 versus $229,000, down 14%. And the number of days on the market increased from 65 to 97. Again, some of that has to be weather related. Houses weren't really shown during the months or the weeks that we had the heavy snow. Multifamilies in North Reading, just absolutely no multifamilies sold either year in the first quarter. And also for land. This year there was 1 land unit sold versus 2 a year ago. The average sales price $275, and it was a piece of land that was on the market for over a year, almost 2 years. Now we'll go into Reading.
Great, thanks Dave. For Reading single-family sales, for the first quarter of 2015, there were 36 units sold compared to 28 a year ago. That's up 29%. And that's up a lot because a year ago, our inventory was so depleted that there really wasn't enough property to sell. That's loosened up a little bit. It's still tight. We're still looking for more property to sell. But we did see a little bit of an increase in Reading in the first quarter this year. The average price was also up a little bit. It was at $510 this year versus $484 a year ago. That's up 5%. And the sales price was also up about 5% at $505 sale price this year versus $479 a year ago. Days on market was a little bit longer, 72 days versus 48 a year ago. We had 10 weekends in a row of snow, and while only 6 of them were terribly bad weekends, it was still 10 weekends. So as to be expected, it took a little bit longer to get things sold. The Reading condo market, there were 14 units sold in 2015 for the first quarter versus 20 a year ago. That's down about 30%. That's because a year ago we had a lot of new construction with the Reading Woods condominiums, and that's kind of gone down a little bit because of, it was just above normal last year. So that's why we see the decrease this year. The average list price is $413,000. It's up significantly compared to $298 a year ago. That's a 38% increase. So just the types of condos that are coming on the market. The average sale price is $412 versus $294 a year ago, so that's up 40% as well. Obviously, the list price and sales price are similar in average, for 2015 versus 2014, so you'd expect that to jump up the same amount. Days on market are 72, up from 58 a year ago, which is a 24% increase. Excuse me. For multifamilies, we sold 1 this year, 1 last year, not a lot. We sold 1 this year, was $499 list price and sale price. In 2014, there was 1 listed for $479 that sold for $425. With just 1 unit, it's really hard to draw any real conclusions there. And land, there was no land sold in either the first quarter this year or last year in Reading.
Land typically is a spring and summer market. It's not typically during the wintertime because you just can't go out and walk.
Not when you have 10 feet of snow on the ground.
Exactly. We're going to move on to Lynnfield. Lynnfield single-family homes for the first quarter were 22 this year versus 15 a year ago. That's a 46% increase. Average list price $642,000 versus $580 a year ago. That's an 11% increase. And the average sales price was $625 versus $561, which is an 11% increase. So that really kind of is a good indicator that prices in Lynnfield went up about 11% year over year. Days on market, 114 last year, 115 this year. Again, that's a healthy market considering the time of year. The Lynnfield condo market is healthy as last year. First quarter we had 3 units sold versus 4 a year ago. The average list price was $612 versus $627 a year ago. $616 for the average sales price versus last year was $633. Again, very, very comparable numbers compared to last year. The days on market, a year ago was taking 253 days on market. This year only 154 days on the market, which is a 39% decrease in the number of days on market for the Lynnfield condos. So the Lynnfield condo market is very healthy as it was a year ago. The Lynnfield multifamilies, again, 0. Lynnfield just does not have multifamilies to sell. And the land, a year ago there was 1 unit that sold this quarter. This year there wasn't any. But again, this time of year you're not expecting there to be a lot of land sales.
And for the Andover market, single-family sales were pretty much the same as they were a year ago, 42 in 2015 versus 45 a year ago. No significant change there. The list and sales prices were also, fairly flat. This year, the average list was $596 compared to $611 a year ago, so down a tiny bit. The average sale price was $573 compared to $596 a year ago, so down about 4%. Days on market were also flat, about 100 days on market this year versus 96 a year ago, so the Andover market continues to be strong and steady. For condos in Andover, there were 27 that sold in the first quarter of this year versus 19 a year ago. What's interesting is the sales price jumped significantly. A year ago, the average list price was $184 with a sale price of $180. This year, the average price was $424 with a sale price of $420. So there were some different condos in a much different price point than there were a year ago, so it's making a huge jump. Days on market were 89 versus 69 a year ago. When we look into the multifamilies, again, not a lot of multifamilies in this area in general. Last year there were 2 that sold versus 1 this year. This year it sold, it was listed for $410 and it actually sold for $430, so there must have been a little bit of a bidding war there to get that price up. Versus last year, the average was $465 versus a sale price of $440. This year, days on market were only 15 compared to 61 a year ago. Obviously there was a lot of interest and it moved quickly. In terms of land, just to repeat Dave, there was nothing last year. In the first quarter this year, there were 2 parcels of land. The average list price was $337 and the average sale price was $328. It was on the market for a total of 167 days. So that gives you a little bit of a look into the numbers of the 4 communities that we cover. And now we're going to spotlight one recent sale of homes from each of the towns that we just covered. 1 Bingham Road in North Reading sold for full price, $379,900. It was listed for that and sold for that. 3-bedroom ranch with 2 rooms in the finished basement and a 2-car garage on an oversized lot. There was an additional office and additional sunroom on the main level, and it was a very versatile plan. It didn't look too big from the front, but it had a huge, from the side view, you could really see what a big property it was. It was almost 1,500 square feet on about 1/3 of an acre of land, and as I said, sold for full price. So that was 1 Bingham Road in North Reading.
Great, great. Now we'll look in Andover, 180 High Street in Andover, listed and sold at $499,900. It was a 2,600 square foot raised ranch. Had a lot of living space, 9 rooms, 5 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. Had a nice big oversized living room upstairs and a nice big oversized family room downstairs. Had a nice sunroom out the back, which led to a deck, gave great space for entertaining. Had an oversized kitchen. It had beautiful private fenced-in backyard. Had the downstairs had a gas fireplace. Had 3 bedrooms. One of them was a home office, and it again listed and sold at $499,900, which is a great value for somebody.
Great. 694 Haverhill Street in Reading was a 7-room, 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom cape. Full shed cape. It had hardwood floors, a fireplace, formal dining room. Had 3 bedrooms upstairs and 1 bedroom down, which was a great office type of room. The 2 bathrooms, one was up and one was down. There was a 3-season porch and a detached garage with a storage loft. So it was a very nice property, about 1,456 square feet, and that was listed for $399 and actually sold over list price for $405. And there were multiple offers before the first open house, even, Dave. So that's a sign of the Reading market for the properties that are priced well and marketed well. They're moving.
excuse me. That's just about every town locally seeing the same thing. We're going to move into Lynnfield now. We have a condo townhouse, 3,800 square feet, 8 rooms, 2 bedrooms, 3.5 baths, listed at $9,099 and sold for $921,000. And I kind of wanted to highlight that because we are seeing overbidding in this market, and I just wanted to kind of explain to the viewers that that doesn't mean that the property was necessarily underpriced. That means it was probably priced right. If you put your property on where you think it's going to sell and the strong demand is there, again, you're going to get people that really want it, and we'll push up a little bit. Now, if that same house came on at 9.25, it probably wouldn't appeal to as many people, and they probably wouldn't see that $921 sale price. They'd probably be hoping for a $900 or a $910 offer. So listing at the number where you expect it to sell, typically in this market, will get your full price or maybe even a little bit more. You have to be realistic in your asking price, but if you are realistic and position it right, you have to know the inventory and you have to know what your competition is. But if you list it right, you can get real good pricing in this market. So this house here was just breathtaking. Just had a master bedroom suite on both the first and second floor, custom designed kitchen, granite, stainless, French doors to the deck, lower level was finished, brick paver patio, and it's right near the Market Street complex, which again, location is very important.
Mm-hmm. That concludes our spotlight of the towns that we're discussing, and we'll be right back with the new town administrator for North Reading after this break.
Welcome back. We're joined now by North Reading Town Administrator, Mike Gilleberto. Mike, welcome.
Thank you.
Mike's a longtime North Reading resident with his wife and 2 children, and he's going to talk a little bit about his new job in North Reading for about 6 months now.
That's correct, yeah.
So how's it going?
It's going great. I'm very happy in the job. When we moved to town, we knew it was a great community, and we knew that the community was really strong. I think that working for the town for the past 6 months, I've seen that it's strong. It's really rock solid. It's full of so many good people who donate their time to make the community a great place to live, to work, to recreate, and we're all very fortunate, in my opinion. It's a great community.
That's great.
For many of our viewers, you're new to the role, new to the town, so could you give us a little bit of your background, how you spent your early years and what brought you to North Reading?
Sure, I'd be glad to. Prior to being town administrator here, I was the town administrator in the town of Tingsboro for 4 years. Prior to that, I was in the city of Worcester in a variety of capacities in the city manager's office from 2005 until 2010. And then prior to that, I worked for a couple of years in the State House for a state representative from Danvers who represented my hometown, which was West Peabody, I should say.
Okay, great. So you came to North Reading. You have some short-term goals, some long-term goals.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you could talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So short-term, I think any town administrator faces coming up to speed with what's going on in the community, really trying to understand the way the government operates, the way town hall operates, to understand the issues that have brought the community to where it's at today. And I spent quite a bit of time, even before my first day on the job, reading and understanding things. Of course, living in the town made it a little bit easier because I was able to follow what was going on, if not through the newspaper, then by watching the selectmen's meetings at home at night whenever I had a chance to. And then I think it really kind of materialized into a budget proposal, which reflected some of the areas where I thought maybe we needed to strengthen our resources in order to perhaps improve the delivery of services. And so the selectmen gave me that opportunity and seemed to have received it favorably. And I think that this time has been spent really on that, on putting together a budget proposal that will take us through the new fiscal year beginning July 1st.
So you're in town on your new job for a couple of months, and we get hit with the worst winter ever. Let's talk a little bit about the snow situation and how we were able to get through it relatively painless.
Well, you know, they say that in municipal government, no 2 days are ever the same, and so no 2 winters are ever the same, I guess, as well. This particular winter, again, very challenging. Really only a 6-week period that was very challenging when you look at it. We have a tremendous staff in the Department of Public Works that did a great job keeping the roads clear. Time and time again, I would hear from people how satisfied they were with the quality of the snow removal here in town. We were able to really, to the extent possible, minimize the days where the schools were closed by getting the town roads and the school properties shoveled out as quickly as we could. When you're dealing with 30 inches of snow at one time, that's a challenge, but I think that we were by and large successful. One of the challenges that it creates, though, is a cost. We had a significant snow and ice expenditure amount this year. It was over $1 million. We expect it'll be over $1 million when all of the bills come in for the end of the season. But through the work of a financial planning team, which consists of myself and the finance director, superintendent and the business manager from the school department, the selectmen, representatives of the school committee, and representatives of the finance committee, we've kind of managed our way through most of it at this point, and we're pretty far along in the budget process next year to not only address the cost of the winter, but also its impact on the town's finances. And I think that we're in pretty good shape. There are some challenges, but we're in pretty good shape.
Good. In terms of economic development, what other types of projects do you have on the table that you're working on?
So we have an economic development committee that's been appointed jointly by the Board of Selectmen and the Community Planning Commission, and it has a pretty targeted goal to assist with the potential revitalization of the Main Street and Concord Road areas, but also to focus on the former J.T. Berry property in town, the state-owned property in town, that we're in the midst of a real estate transaction with the state to acquire for purposes of potential redevelopment. So this is a great initiative. There's 7 or 8 members who have volunteered their time to be members of this committee. It's had 2 meetings so far this spring, and I know that they are very anxious to contribute, and I know that they have a lot of great ideas to advise the community with regard to economic development. I think
Just to interrupt for a
Sure.
quick second, for those people that don't know where that property is, could you describe where it is and kind of what the general idea
Sure.
is for the redevelopment of it?
Sure. So the J.T. Berry property was a former rehabilitation, state-owned rehabilitation facility. Roughly half of it was redeveloped in the mid-2000s to become the Edgewood Apartments, and the balance of it, which is about 30 acres, that portion of it located in North Reading at least, is on Lowell Road at the Wilmington line opposite Benevento. And the hope is that, and the intention is to redevelop it for potential commercial use, but I think that through a planning process, we'll evaluate what the best fit is for the impact on the community, as well as what the market will support for potential development as well. But it's a unique opportunity, and the opportunity to acquire the property really gives the town a chance to not only be involved in whether or not to permit and allow a development proposal to occur, but to really kind of chart our course in terms of what happens there, because we'll be the owner at the end of the transaction, and we can decide what type of use we'd like to have occur there that's in the best interest of the community. So it's a unique opportunity.
Are there any projections about how much additional tax revenue that property could bring in?
I think it'll depend on the use, but right now we get a very small base payment in terms of the value of the land right now, but any development on it would result in what I expect to be a significant amount of tax revenue for the town. And the goal is, by making that tax revenue be ideally either commercial or industrial, will diversify the tax base and potentially lessen the tax burden on the average homeowner here in town compared to what it would be if we didn't do the development. That's probably the most important thing about this.
As you talk about development, leads us to water and sewer,
Sure.
which is always one of the things when you talk about the Route 28 corridor, at least.
That's
Can
right.
you talk about some plans for that?
Sure. We've been in the midst of negotiations with the town of Andover regarding an intermunicipal agreement to carry us through the next 10 years, which would provide water to the town for potable water purposes, either for drinking or for businesses that rely on it as well, for any purpose that we have drinking water. Just a little bit of background about the way we provide water here in town. We buy about 2/3 of the water that the town as a whole consumes from the town of Andover, and about 1/3 of it comes from wells that we have located here in North Reading. Those wells draw from the watershed of the Ipswich River, which I'm sure most residents are aware of, and many on the North Shore are aware is a very stressed waterway, and really is contributing more drinking water than it probably can in the region. In terms of the future, we are looking at an interconnection to the Massachusetts Water Resource Authority through the town of Reading. as a way to potentially no longer need to use our wells to provide water. Right now, again, those wells provide about 1/3 of our water. We're in the process of evaluating the feasibility of whether we could acquire all of our water from the MWRA, and it does seem that it certainly is feasible for us to do that at this point. It becomes a matter of the planning and the implementation for the project, and budgeting out the cost for the project. But it's a unique opportunity that we have. The MWRA has water available. The state is encouraging communities to connect to the MWRA, and we're certainly an interested party. With the town meeting approved 2 years ago some money for feasibility study and planning, so it's something that we're looking at very closely.
And that would be for water, not sewer, correct?
That's for water only, correct. In terms of sewer, there's been a variety of different concepts that have been evaluated over the years that I'm aware of. We have the potential for more localized on-site septic disposal, similar to the wastewater treatment facility that many are familiar with at the new high school and middle school, that could perhaps be constructed in a more targeted area. We could also potentially, through an interconnection with the town of Andover, send sewerage to the Greater Lawrence Sanitary District through the town of Andover. That's another option that will be looked at. The sewer is probably a little bit further down the road than the water. The water, as I think most residents know, in the past, the amount of water available for use, particularly in the summer, has been a challenge, but the selectmen have committed over the past couple of years to solve that issue by acquiring additional water capacity by way of the MWRA.
My big question, did you get to meet Robert De Niro?
I did not, no. I did not get to meet Mr. De Niro or Ms. Lawrence, no. I know they were
not
around.
Bradley Cooper either, I'm taking it now.
No, I did not.
What's been the feedback from having the movie in town, and are there any other future films that we have in our future?
You know, I can say this. I think that we have made a good impression. I think that we tried to do everything that we could to responsibly accommodate the movie. All of the resources that the public saw in the community were paid for by the movie directly, whether it be police details or a fire watch that was on site or signs that they rented to direct traffic.
I'm sure they had to pull permits for a variety of things as well, which was some revenue for the town.
They did, that's right. I mean, and it generated, I think that the activity that was provided directly to the town's coffers is probably only a fraction of what it actually was generating here in the local economy. If you look in the restaurants, a number of them received a lot of business associated with the production, and that's certainly a good thing for the community. And then the production company, 20th Century Fox, also made contributions to the town's community impact team, as well as a Parks and Recreation gift account. So I think that it worked out well for the town. I think that there was an impact during the course of the day when there were some road closures, but I think by and large the suggestions that were made by the police department to manage it were successful.
I think people were more excited about it than annoyed by any sort of, like extra few minutes to their commute. So.
Yeah, and I think that that Fox, 20th Century Fox, walked away with a very positive impression of the town, and we hope to continue to be on their radar. Again, not every desired production is going to be the right fit for the community. We have to look at it on a case-by-case basis, but I think there could be some opportunity to, again, stimulate the local economy.
Terrific. Talking about the local economy and the needs of the town, talk a little bit about the master plan that's underway, or the work on the master plan?
Sure. So we're in the midst of, the selectmen kind of set the policy goals from a strategic standpoint each year in the fall. They do a strategic planning meeting that is covered by the newspaper. It's made public, and then they review the results of that at a subsequent meeting. And there's certainly some things that we're looking at down the road that we know need to be addressed. I mentioned the water and sewer. That's one area. Another area that we've kind of looked at and that I think is going to need some attention is that of the town buildings. We've made quite an investment, and certainly a necessary investment, in the new middle school and the new high school. We do have facilities that are in need as well that are not associated with education that we're going to need to look at in the coming years. We have a fire station. The fire department does tremendous work, but it's in a facility that is in need of some updating to better accommodate the program that the fire department operates out of that facility. We also we do a lot to keep up with the town hall, but it is an older building, and it does need attention, and we need to be looking at that. And I know that the Parks and Recreations and senior communities are also looking at what opportunities might be out there for potentially addressing their facility needs as well. So I hope that as we look out over the course of the next 5 years or so, that those are going to continue to be major drivers to what our needs are, what needs to be addressed in the community.
Great, lots going on in the town.
There is.
Yeah. Anything else we're not asking about that?
Well, I mean, I would say this again. I referenced it during the portion of the discussion about the snow and ice costs, but the town is overall in very good financial shape. We're a very good financial standing. We went out for a bond rating on some borrowing that we did in October, and Moody's came back and gave us a AA2 rating. They stated our strong financial management and our sizable tax base as being a reason that they were sustaining our previously given rating of AA2. So I think that that's a good indicator that Wall Street looks at us and says that we're doing the right things financially. Again, like every city and town in Massachusetts, we're facing challenges, but I think that because we have a cooperative leadership at the top, and it starts with the selectmen, the school committee, with the finance committee, that we're able to get through the issues and kind of manage from year to year and plan in the long term.
That's terrific.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here with us
Thank you.
today. We look forward to your continued leadership, and we'll be right back.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to Beantown and Beyond, and we usually use this segment to talk about some recent properties in the Boston marketplace. I'm going to highlight something a little bit different this time. I'm going to talk about summer rentals. The rental market is really hot. They are doing so much construction. The Seaport District is just, there's a new building going up almost every day, it seems. There's new construction in the South End, the Back Bay, various locations. So I'm going to highlight 3 quick properties that are all available for June 1st and give you a couple of different locations, a couple of different price points to show you what your money will get you in Boston. The first property that I'd like to highlight is 55 West Broadway, unit number 4. This is a 1-bedroom, plus it does have 2 smaller rooms. One's perfect for a small little bistro dining area or nursery, home office. The second one actually leads to a private deck, which is nice as well. So the current people that are in there have a little bar set up and a little kind of sitting room, which is quite nice. This unit does come with parking included, which is very rare to find in the city, and this is listed for $2,800, and that again is available on June 1st. 55 West Broadway. It's an old rectory next to the old St. Peter and Paul's Church. It's a beautiful, beautiful brick building, beautiful woodwork inside, fabulous unit, big ceilings and fireplaces, and really, really spectacular. So again, that's $2,800, available June 1st. The next property that I'd like to highlight is 169 M Street, also in South Boston. That's a 2-bedroom unit, 2 blocks from the beach, and that's for $3,000 a month. It is completely renovated, beautiful hardwood floors, soaring ceilings, gas fireplace, additional storage in the basement, and as I just mentioned, 2 blocks from the beach. So it's a great location. East Side is very desirable in South Boston. Again, for that 2-bedroom unit, that's $3,000 a month, and that's also available on June 1st. The final property that I'd like to highlight is 135 Marlborough Street in the Back Bay. Premier location in the Back Bay. It's got a walkability score off the charts. It's right in the thick of everything. That's actually just a summer rental. It's available from June 1st to August 31st. It's fully furnished, and that is going to be $4,500 a month. It is a 2-bedroom, completely done over. Beautiful building, beautiful location on the corner of Dartmouth Street, and that sounds very pricey coming from up this way, but it actually is priced very, very well. It's actually kind of a little bit priced lower than what you could get because they want to just have it rented for the 3 months. So again, that's available June 1st as well, and that's a little bit of Beantown and Beyond.
It's really quite a different market just a few miles away, isn't it?
It is,
Yeah,
absolutely.
It really is. Beautiful properties, though, just really, really different. So if you haven't been, go online, check our website, and you get to see the inside of these units.
Yeah.
They're very, very nice. That we want to leave you with, something to think about. And it's a newly listed property at 163 Chestnut Street in North Reading. Most people know it when they drive by Chestnut Street and they see it. It's just absolutely exquisite construction. 11 rooms, 4 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, 5,400 square feet. It sits on just about an acre of land. It does have a 3-car garage in the back, a wraparound porch in the front. Venetian plaster walls, gleaming hardwood floors, interior columns, just a showplace kitchen. Opens to a nice big family room. You go up a big beautiful staircase, oversized bedrooms, go downstairs into the basement, an in-law suite or a nanny suite. Could possibly be somebody's home office. Just absolutely exquisite home, and it's listed at $875,000. And again, if you're interested in something like this, give us a call because it won't last long. It's a really, really nice property.
It was actually highlighted on our Parade of Homes several years ago. It's really a fantastic property, one of North Reading's finest.
It really
So,
is. Yeah, it really is.
if you have any questions for us, you can always email us at price.thishouse@century21.com.
And that wraps it up for today. I want to thank Mike Gilleberto, Town Administrator, and we want to thank you for watching. We really appreciate your time that you spend with us. Thank you.
We hope to see you next time. Thank you. Have a great day.